February was the month of slump, no slump, slump, no slump. So let's talk about what I read. Hello lovely book dragons and welcome back to another video, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Joana and I love to read the fantasy genre. I also like to dip my toes into other genres such as science fiction or historical fiction, but I'm mainly a fantasy reader. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the 6 books that I read in the month of February. February was a month of slumps and getting out of slumps and getting back into slumps and getting out of slumps. I hope the slump is over. I think so. I hope so. I think so. But let's talk about what I read. So I read 6 books in the month of February. Like I said, I'm going to be starting from my least favorite to my favorite. And without further ado, let's just get started. My least favorite book of the month of March is a DNF, unfortunately, and that was Hollow Smoke by M.L. Wong. If you followed my weekly updates at all in the month of February, you will see that I kept on saying, I don't know, I'm not invested. And then eventually I was talking to my very good friend Abby and she was like, listen, if you're not liking it, just drop it. And I was like, huh, Abby's wisdom. Yes, I will do just that. And I dropped the book. DNF'd it at 46%. I was so not invested. I think it may have been because I was listening to the audiobook. I know that reading a fantasy book on audio alone can be a bad thing if it's not a reread for me. I usually, if it's a fantasy, I either follow along with the physical book or the ebook as I listen to it, or I can read them if it's a reread, or if I'm already super invested with the world. For example, I read Assassin's Apprentice with audiobook and physical, but then Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, I listened to only the audiobook because I was already so invested in these characters in this world that it was okay. Hollow Smoke, I had to DNF. I just couldn't get into it, and it had everything to be a favorite. It is a Viking-inspired story with magic and like everything about it should have worked for me, but it didn't. And as always, I don't go into synopses a lot, especially for this one since I DNF'd it, and I honestly don't even know exactly what it's about, so I will leave every book that I talk about in the description, linked down below if you want to read the Goodreads synopsis. But yeah, pretty much this is a Viking-inspired story about a woman who, like, something happened and she had to leave where she lives, and then she didn't have access to her god anymore. In that aspect, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Poppy War, but not as cool as the Poppy War. And I didn't want to pick up the audiobook. I didn't want to read it. I was just so not invested in it that I DNF'd it. And I feel bad, I feel sad because I wanted to love it. And this was a buddy read with my friends Brooke and Sophia, and I think they both DNF'd it as well, so I don't know, just didn't work for me. The next book is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and this one I gave a 3.5 star rating. So it was a good read, but it wasn't a great read. This was the shelf space pick for the month of March, and I also buddy read this one with Ruby, and I gave it a 3.5 stars. I also listened to this one on audiobook. Again, I'm wondering, should I have read it physically? I don't know. Am I learning something from this month? I don't know. But pretty much here we follow 3 main characters, and we are in a world, like, it's a pre-colonization of Colombia, I think. I will leave, as always, like I said, the book in the description. But we follow 3 main characters whose paths intersect because one of them is the Sun Priestess, if I'm not mistaken. Sun Priestess? Yes. She's a Sun Priestess. The other one is like the avatar for a god, and the other one is just like kind of there in the middle, and she kind of just like does a link between them. But yeah, this book was fun. I think that upon reread it might be better, but Elliot Brooks said it like this, and I absolutely agree with it, and I told her in the comment of her video that I wouldn't say this in my video, that it felt like a prologue for a story. It was a good prologue, but a prologue that was a whole book. And that's why I gave it a 3.5 stars, because I wasn't attached to the characters that much. It was really compelling and fun. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't, because I read the first 65% of the book in one day. So, and then the last percentage that I left, the last 35%, I read in another shot. Just like I let a few days go in between, and then I finished the book in one go. So I pretty much read this in 2 sittings. So it was very fun and engaging, but I didn't connect to anyone. And it was just, yeah, it felt like a prologue. And at the end of the book, it felt like where the story should begin. And so, I don't know, maybe the pacing wasn't great, because I didn't think that you needed this whole setup. It was cool to see the setup, but if it's only a trilogy, what's gonna happen in the next books? I don't know. Yeah, it was a good book. I am probably going to pick up its sequel. Not sure, but I think so. And that's pretty much it. The next book I read in the month of February was Legendborn by Tracy Dion. And I've already read this one with Brooke and with Lyra and with Amy, right? It was only the 4 of us. I think so. And we buddy read this one, and I actually really enjoyed it. I also read this one in 2 sittings, pretty much read the first 70% in one day, and then in the last 30% in another day. This book is a YA fantasy, which was the first YA book I read this year, the only YA book I've read this year, and it was so fun. This was so fun. So we follow our main character who goes to an early college program, but she goes to this college and then she starts seeing a few weird things happening, and she realizes that she may have some powers. I mean, the cover gives it away, but that she may have some powers and that she didn't know about. And this is like a Arthurian retelling, and I love that kind of stuff. Like that kind of stuff, like incorporating Arthurian legend with genealogy and getting to know your family history with magic. It was so fun. It was so fast paced. I loved it so much for that. It was like, this is why I still love YA fantasy, because it's like so fast paced. You just pick up a book and like go, and it's so fun. And this book was so fun. I gave it 4 stars because there are 2 tropes in it that I don't like so much, and it is the insta-love and the love triangle trope, because I don't think that the love triangle should be a thing, because I clearly prefer one of the 2 guys. I'm like, just drop this dude, go with that dude, he's way better, but whatever. Yeah, so I don't like insta-love, I don't like love triangles, and it had these 2 very make it or break it tropes. But, and there was also a little something about the ending where I was like, I wish you hadn't gone this route. I wish she hadn't gone this route. But I still really enjoyed the book. I highly recommend it. This is one that I'm for sure going to be rereading and where I'm going to be continuing on, because this one was a ton of fun. Just, wow, I liked it a lot. And then we come on to all of my 5-star books. The first one I want to talk about is The Midnight Library by Hague. I read this one really quickly because I was so invested in this book. Such a good book. I read this at the right time of my life. It touched me in a lot of different places in my life. It resonated with me. This is the book about a main character whose life pretty much sucks. There's a lot of things that are going wrong in her life, and then one day she loses her job. Her cat dies, she loses the other gig that she had, and she realizes my brother was in town and he didn't even come to see me. Like, no one, literally no one cares about me. And she decides to commit suicide. And so, trigger warnings for suicide, for sure. And in between life and death, there's this place where you go called the Midnight Library. And in the Midnight Library, you can try on all the lives that you could have lived if you had made different decisions. So, let's say you went to this college, but you could have also not gone to college. So what would have happened if you hadn't gone to college? Or if you'd picked the other college that you had in mind? And you can see what would have happened. You could see, hey, what if I hadn't broken up with my boyfriend back then? Would we still be together? Would we be happy? What if I had joined my brother and become an actress? Whatever it is that you wanted to do in your life and that you didn't pursue, you can try them on. And this book I loved. I loved it so much because the discussions it has about what it means to be you, what it means to be happy, what it means to be alive, what brings you happiness and what doesn't. All those discussions were just so important and just really touched me in a moment of my life where I myself have been thinking a lot about these things. What does it even mean to live a successful life? What does it look like for you? Of course, for someone, being a successful actress or singer and being super famous is exactly what successful life means. But maybe for someone it just means having a family, having a cat, having a dog, having something like that. And I love this book for that. I gave it 5 stars. I don't think it's for everybody because some people just need a very good plot to get them through. This was very introspective, but I loved it so much and I gave it 5 stars. Next up, also a 5-star read, The Invisible Life of Adelaide by V.E. Schwab. I have a whole should you read on this, so I'm not going to be talking a lot about it. I will leave that video linked in the cards. This story was just so beautiful and kind of in the same vibes as Midnight Library. A lot of introspection about what it means to have time, what it means to be alive, what it means to leave an impact on the world. I actually go into the themes of this book in my should you read, so I will definitely encourage you to go watch that if you are at all interested in this book and if you want to know the themes of this book, which I think are the main driving force. The characters are good. They were not fantastic for me. The characters are good though. But for me, definitely the themes are what drive the story. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. Definitely a favorite of life. A book that will stick with me. A beautiful book. Definitely V.E. Schwab's best written book. Best book, I think, in my opinion. I love this very, very much. And finally, a book that I haven't finished at the time of filming this. I'm only on page 200, which means I have 500 pages left. But somehow I think I can still finish this. I have 2 days left in the month. I still think I can finish A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas. Oh my god, guys. So I am actually filming a whole spoilery vlog of me reading this and my live reactions to things and stuff and discussions. But pretty much I was not excited about this. Like, I mean, I was excited as I am excited about every book that Sarah J Maas puts out, but I was not like, oh my gosh, gotta read it immediately. Even told you in my February TBR that if I didn't get to this on time, it would be okay, because my copy wasn't gonna arrive on time anyway for release, so I didn't really mind. Turns out so many people were hyping it up that I canceled my book depository order, went on Amazon because my Amazon finally got it in stock, bought it, it arrived really quickly after, of course, because it's Amazon. And I started it on the day I got it, and it's been wonderful. I wasn't excited about this. I wasn't as excited about this because I didn't like Nesta a lot in the original trilogy, and this book follows Nesta. And so I thought, you know what? If I didn't even really like her character in the other books, why should I be so excited about a book following just her? And right now, like I said, I'm 200 pages in and I love Nesta. I really love Nesta. Yeah, so I'm really loving this book. And this book made me want to finish the Throne of Glass series. At this point, you'll already have seen my March TBR, and that one I talk about continuing on with the Throne of Glass series, because after reading this, I am reminded of why I love Sarah J Maas, and that I just want to continue in her characters, in her worlds. I need to continue reading stuff from Sarah J Maas. I always say like, oh, she's the author that got me into fantasy, that's why I still like her. No, I just still like her because I still love the stuff she puts out. I love her characters. I love the characters she writes. I love this book. I am predicting a 5-star. Editing Joana, you can say if it wasn't a 5-star, but I am predicting a 5-star. Maybe editing Joana is editing this before I finish reading it. I doubt it though, but I'm predicting a 5-star. And watch out for my spoiler-filled vlog. I will start with a non-spoilery part and then go into all the spoilers. So look out for that in the month of March. So there you go, guys. Those are the books that I read in the month of February. Let me know in the comments down below what is the favorite book that you've read in this month, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye, guys.